as she held me in her arms as I wept. Think of those flowers you plant in the garden each year. They will teach you that people too must wilt, fall, root, rise in order to bloom. The sun and her flowers, the sun and her flowers. The first page. On the last day of love, my heart cracked inside my body. My heart cracked inside my body. I spent the entire night casting spells to bring you back, to bring you back, to bring you back. I reached for the last bouquet of flowers you gave me, now wilting in their face, one by one. I popped their heads off and ate them. I stuffed a towel at the foot of every door. Leave, I told the air. I have no use for you. I drew every curtain in the house. Go, I told the light. No one is coming in, and no one is going out. You laughed, and I wanted you still. Yet I deserved someone who was willing to stay. I spent days in bed, debilitated by loss. I attempted to cry you back, but the water is done, and still you have not returned. I pinched my belly till it bleeds. I've lost count of the days. Sun becomes moon, and moon becomes sun, and I become ghost. A dozen different thoughts tear through me each second. You must be on your way. Perhaps it's best if you're not. I'm okay. No, I'm angry. Yes, I hate you. Maybe I can't move on. I will. I forgive you. I want to rip my hair out over and over and over again till my mind exhausts itself into a silence. Yesterday, the rain tried to imitate my hand by running down your body. I ripped the sky apart to allow it. In order to fall asleep, I have to imagine your body crooked behind me, spoon ladled into spoon. I have to recite your name till you answer, and we have a conversation. Only then can my mind drift off to sleep. It isn't what we left behind that breaks me. It's what we could build, and how we stayed. I can still see our construction hats lying exactly where we left them. Pylons unsure of what to God. Bulldozers gazing out of our return. The plank of wood stiff in their boxes, yearning to be nailed up, but neither of us goes back to tell them it is over in time. The bricks will grow tired of waiting, and crumpled cranes will droop their necks in sorrow. The shovels will rust. Do you think flowers will grow here when you and I are off? am still half conscious. I hear the hummingbird outside, flirting with the flowers. I heard the flowers giggling and the bees growing jealous. When I turned over to wake you and start over again, the painting, the wailing, the shock of realization that you've left. The first mornings without you. The hummingbirds tell me you've changed your hair. I tell them I don't care. While listening to them, described every detail. Hunger. I envy the ones who still witness you. I could be anything in the world, but I wanted to be his. I tried to leave many times, but as soon as I got away, my lungs buckled under the pressure, panting for air I would return. Perhaps this is why I let you skim me to the bone. Something was better than nothing. Having you touch me, even if it was not kind, but was better than not having your hands at all. I could take the abuse, I could not take the absence. I knew I was beating a dead thing, but did it matter if the thing was dead when at the very last I added addiction? You break women in like shoes. Loving you was breathing, but that breath disappearing before it filled my lungs when it goes too soon. What love looks like? What does love looks like? The therapist asked. 1 week after the breakup, and I'm not sure how to answer her questions, except for the fact that I thought love looked so much like you. That's when it hit me, and I realized how naive I had been to place an idea so beautiful on the image of a person, as if anybody on this entire earth could encompass all love represented. As if this emotion 7 billion people trample for would look like a 5'11" medium-sized brown-skinned guy who likes eating frozen pizza for breakfast. What does love looks like? The therapist asked again, this time interrupting my thoughts mid-sentence. And at this point, I'm about to get up and walk right out the door. Except I pay far too much money for this hour, so instead I take a piercing look at her. The way you look at someone when you are about to hand it to them, lips pursed tightly, preparing to launch into conversation, eyes digging deeply into theirs, searching for all the weak spots they have hidden somewhere, hair being tucked behind the ears, as if you have to physically prepare for a conversation on the philosophies, or rather disappointments, or what love looks like. Well, I tell her, I don't think love is him anymore. If love was him, he would be here, wouldn't he? If he was the one for me, wouldn't he be the one sitting across from me? If love was him, it would have been simple. I don't think love is him anymore. I repeat, I think love never was. I think I just wanted something, was ready to give myself to something. I believed what was bigger than myself. And when I saw someone who could properly fit the part, I made it very much my intention to make him my counterpart. And I lost myself to him. He took and he took, wrapped me in the word special, 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 special. Until I was so convinced he had eyes only to see me, hands only to feel me, a body only to be with me. Oh, how he emptied me. How does that make you feel? Interrupts the therapist. Well, I said, it kind of makes me feel like shit. Maybe we are all looking at it wrong. We think it's something to search for out there, something meant to crash into us on our way out of an elevator or slip into our chair at a cafe. Appear at the end of an aisle at the bookstore, looking the right amount of sexy and intellectual. But I think love starts here. Everything else is just desire and projection of all our wants, needs, and fantasies. But those external let's see could never work out if we didn't turn inward and learn how to love ourselves in order to love the other people. Love does not look like a person. Love is our actions. Love is giving all we can, even if it's just the bigger slice of a cake. Love is understanding. We have the power to hurt one another, but we are going to do everything in our power to make sure we don't. Love is figuring out all the kind sweetness we deserve, and when someone show up saying they will provide it as you do, but their action seems to break you rather than build you. Love is knowing whom to choose. You cannot walk in and out of me like a revolving door. I have too many miracles happening inside me to be your convenient option, not your hobby. You took the sun with you when you laughed. I remained committed long after you were gone. I could not lift my eyes to meet eyes with someone else. Looking felt like betrayal. What excuse would I have? When you came back and asked where my hands have been. When you plunged the knife into me, you also began bleeding. My wound became your wound. Didn't you know? Love is a double-edged knife. You will suffer the way you make me suffer. I think my body knew you would not stay. I long for you, but you long for someone else. I denied the one who wants me, 'cause I want someone else. I wonder if I am beautiful enough for you, or if I am beautiful at all. I change what I'm wearing 5 times before I see you, wondering which pair of jeans will make my body more tempting to undress. insecure parts of me. Your voice alone drives me to tears. You're telling me I am beautiful. You're telling me I'm enough. You are everywhere except right here, and it hurts. Show me a picture. I want to see the face of the woman who made you forget the one you had at home. What day was it? And what excuse did you feed me? I used to thank the universe for bringing you to me. Did you enter her right as I asked it? I asked the Almighty to grant you all you wanted. Did you find it in her? Did you come crawling out of her with what you couldn't in me? What draws you to her? Tell me what you like so I can practice. Your absence is a missing lip. Questions. There's a list of questions I wanted to ask but never will. There's a list of questions I go through in my head every time I'm alone, and my mind can't stop itself from searching for you. There's a list of questions I want to ask. So if you are listening somewhere, here I'm asking them. What do you think happens to the love that's left behind when two lovers leave? How blue do you think it gets before it passes away? Does it pass away, or does it still exist somewhere, waiting for us to come back? When we lied to ourselves by calling this unconditional and left, which one of us hurt more? I shattered into a million little pieces, and those pieces shattered into a million more, crumbled into dust till there was nothing left of me but the silence. Tell me how did the grieving feel for you? How did the mourning hurt? How did you peel your eyes open after every blink, knowing I will never be there staring back? It must be hard to live with what ifs. There must always be this constant dog aching in the pit of your stomach. Trust me, I feel it too. How in the world did we get here? How did we live through it? And how are we still living? How many months did it take before you stopped thinking of me? Or are you still thinking of me? 'Cause if you are, then maybe I am too. Thinking of you, thinking of me, with me, in me, around me, everywhere, you and me and us. Do you still touch yourself to thoughts of me? Do you still imagine my naked, tiny body pressed into yours? Do you still imagine the curve of my spine and how you want? 'Cause the way it dipped into my perfectly rounded bottom drove you crazy. Baby, sugar baby, sweet baby. Ever since we left, how many times did you pretend it was my hand stroking you? How many times did you search for me in your fantasies and end up crying instead of coming? Don't you lie to me? I can tell when you are lying, 'cause there's always that little bit of arrogance in your response. Are you angry with me? Are you okay? last time we spoke and you talk of the next time we would? Or do you think we would just look, shaking our skin as we bite to absorb as much as we can of each other? Because by this time, we've probably got someone else waiting at home. We were good together, weren't we? And is it wrong that I'm asking you these questions? Tell me, love. Tell me, love, tell me, love, tell me, love, tell me, love. That you have been looking for these answers too. You called to tell me you miss me. I turned to face the front door of the house, waiting for a knock. Days later, you called to say you need me, but still on here. The dandelion on the lawn are rolling their eyes in disappointment. The grass has declared your yesterday news. What do I care if you love me or miss me or need me when you aren't doing anything about it? If I'm not the love of your life, I'll be the greatest lost instead. Where do we go from here, my love? When it's over and I'm standing between us, whose side do I run to when every nerve in my body is pulsing for you? When my mouth waters at the thoughts, when you are pulling me in just by standing here, how do I turn around and choose myself? So today's poetry reading will